All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is wellness check 10. Michael, can you believe it?
I cannot.
10 wellness checks that we've
Are,
done since we
have we
started.
10x'd our wellness?
That's a great question. I think about that sometimes, that we ourselves, the humans, Ben and Mike, we are the spokespeople for terrain. We are the walking, living, breathing spokespeople for this whole thing. And though my terrain is far from perfect, though my lifestyle is far from perfect, I have to step back. I did this actually once. I was doing some research on people my age, our age, and average number of medications they're on, average number of conditions, like medical conditions, chronic medical conditions. And man, I'm not a huge person for like patting myself on the back because I always feel like there's so much more to do. There's so many more ways that I could improve all aspects of my life and be less of a hypocrite. But I'm on zero medications. Like most people our age, most males in America our age are on like average 1 to 3 medications, blood pressure, statins, things like that. And I'm on zero. And I've never actually been on I don't think I've ever been on a prescription drug. I mean, maybe I've had like some steroids like back in the day, right? That I
Sure.
didn't know better. And so like, have we 10x'd our health? Like maybe we have. Just the fact that we are the age that we're at and we have zero chronic conditions, you and I. We're on zero medications. We are doing the things that we love. We're not depressed. I don't feel like we have mental health issues. Maybe you do a little bit.
For real.
You're always just down after a loss, a hockey game loss. Can't get you out of those doldrums. No, but for real, like, so have we 10x'd our health? Like, man, if we hadn't discovered terrain 5 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be where I'm at.
For real.
How about you?
Yeah. It's funny. The idea of even being on a prescription is funny to me.
Isn't it?
Just comical.
Yeah. Like, would I ever stand in line at a pharmacy to pick up? I don't think I would. I don't think I would allow myself to be in that place.
Even walking by a pharmacy, like in the grocery store, I have to make a concerted effort to not just put out a bad vibe towards them. Just be cool. Just be cool, man.
Just be cool. Yeah. Yeah, we have a Walgreens in town and I'll go in for, like toilet paper and tissues and things. Yeah. And like I wear contacts, so I've got a like contact solution. Right. That's a topic we'll discuss today.
Yeah.
But seeing the signs for the flu shot, it's
exactly. It's triggering.
It's triggering. I was talking to Kelly a little bit about that. Like, I don't think I've ever had a flu shot, even before I was aware of all the crap. Like there was something about it that I just steered clear. I don't know. Is maybe I don't like, I don't want a shot. I just don't want a shot.
Yeah, period. I certainly never went into a pharmacy under my own power and said, "Give me that thing." It is funny it's amazing how fuzzy for me at least, I never had a great memory. It's funny, my brother was just visiting and he's always had this incredible rock solid memory. He remembers everything from our childhood and little details and gigs we did. It's kind of phenomenal, but I do not possess that. But like trying just to harken back to like going to a quote unquote wellness visit, right, with our primary care provider, pediatrician, even when we were in grade school and high school, like we would get shots, right? That was just part of. But I don't necessarily remember, but that's what's so interesting. It was so normalized that you would kind of like brace yourself for it because no human wants to be jabbed with a sharp object. But it was so normalized that we really didn't think about it. So I'm only saying that because it's possible I could have, in the same spirit, just not thought about going to get a flu shot because I just was part of that system at that time and didn't know any better. But I don't think so. I don't think I've ever had a flu shot. I think I just probably had the childhood schedule shots.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah. And again, there were less, as we've spoken about ad nauseum compared to today. But yeah, I had all those.
They were still more than what our parents got.
Yes.
Right. And, maybe we'll deal with the fallout of that accumulation, but maybe we've already dealt with it. Maybe our
Yeah.
bodies have already dealt with it. We were talking, yeah, Kelly and I were talking about that last night. We were hanging out with Hazel, and she had mentioned that Del Bigtree appeared on Mike Rowe's little show. Mike Rowe has like a little interview style show. It's almost like a podcast on
Okay.
YouTube. You know Mike Rowe,
I
Dirty
don't.
Jobs? He
Nope.
he was the host of Dirty Jobs. He's a real blue collar guy. His voice, he's got this real deep, like beautiful voice that's used in voiceover a lot. He was I think the voiceover for The Deadliest Catch. Anyway, he's pretty well known in like blue collar circles. He's had a couple shows called Dirtiest Jobs, where he highlights like the jobs that no one wants to do in America, but just holding up the blue collar worker, and also USA made. But he's got this talk show, and he had Del Bigtree on, and Kelly's like, I really want to watch it. Say what you will about Dell. He's got that documentary that came out, which I think shook a lot of people. And here's Mike Rowe, who's pretty mainstream and has a pretty big audience, a pretty big following, and he's having Del Bigtree on to talk about this, this documentary and the whole vaccine topic. And I think we were just, I do a lot of reflecting on this when I encounter folks who express outrage when someone can't see, when someone can't arrive at the same conclusion that they've arrived at. And I remind myself, and I reminded Kelly last night, like when I was in my 30s, I had a tetanus shot. Like and I've talked about this on the podcast. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know better. I didn't
Yeah.
know better. I was at a Spartan race. I took like a stick to my shin, and it gouged it. And at the end of the race, the tent, they were like, you should probably go, to urgent care and get this cleaned out properly. So I go, and the woman asked me, like, when was the last time you had a tetanus shot? And I was like, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't keep track of these things. She's like, oh, no problem. We'll shoot you. You'll give you one. And at that time, I just remember being like, well, this is great. Like, oh my God, like I get this little thing and I will not get lockjaw. I'm not going to get tetanus. And I thought, what a minor miracle that is.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, I'm praying, that's amazing. That's one less thing I have to worry about. Look how easy that was. And just imagining the number of people out there who do similar because they've never ever been, and like that woman who administered that shot, I didn't ask to see an insert. There was at that time in my life, I had no reason to believe that this was anything other than perfectly effective and 100% safe. I had zero exposure to any sort of narrative, tale, story, anecdote that it is anything other than the miracle that they claim it is. And that was me. That was me not that long ago.
Was that your 30s, 40s?
I was in my 30s. Yeah, like early 30s, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Maybe late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah. And that is most people.
And that is most people, and especially like the older demographic. And so I'm trying more often to remind myself that I was at that point in this journey not that long ago, and I can't express outrage when someone doesn't quote unquote get it and can't arrive at the place that we're at. I mean, it's hard enough to get to a place where you accept that vaccines might not be safe and effective, that vaccines might cause harm. That's hard for a lot of people to get to, especially if you're young parents and then try to convince someone that viruses have never been proven to exist using the scientific method. It's like, can we just allow people a little bit of grace that this is a lot to arrive at, and there's a lot standing in their way, and some people just don't have the capacity or the interest. They're not even curious enough. They're not curious. They don't have the open mind. Like, don't waste your energy. Don't waste it. Don't waste it. If people are curious and they come to you wanting to have a discussion or to hear your perspective because they've heard you have a different one than them, all day, I'll give them all day. But if someone very quickly just is like, right away that they're not even curious, if they're not curious, like, don't waste your time. And also, don't pour hate on that person. It's just no point.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been sort of top of mind, this idea around like, just flu shot, where I was in this journey, and, looking at this little baby that we have that's like a week old, and thinking about where I was when Grayson came along,
Right.
9 years ago compared to where I am now. And then the different place I am in terms of being a father and also seeing this like quote unquote helpless baby cry, go through all the little baby things and realize that she's fine. It's like everything's going to be fine. And all the things that Kelly goes through too as a new mom, like we're going to be fine. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's not a crisis. It's not an emergency starting with her birth.
Which let's get into that. I mean, I don't know how much you want to share, but you essentially did a free birth.
We did. Yeah, it was eh, you know, folks who've been listening to this podcast know that Mike and I went down that free birth rabbit hole a couple of times in some episodes last year, and there's so much that's compelling and attractive to the idea of a free birth, and all the talking points that Emily Saldea offered us made so much sense. A state licensed midwife, you're bringing the state into your birth, and her allegiance first and foremost is to the state and following the rules, and she has to cover her ass. Uh, and that was renting space in my head as we were approaching this or discussing how we want to do this. And Kelly is well aware of the free birth conversation, more so than I am. And I think what it came down to was um, just feeling like we wanted that extra person in the room just in case, like someone who has been around enough births to observe and go, okay, this is a little abnormal, because abnormal things can happen. Birth is not an emergency. It's not a medical emergency, but strange things can happen. And we Kelly's had two kids, and I had Grayson, but I'm a man. I didn't actually birth him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a lot of life experience to have seen every aspect of birth and all the variables, and to be able to identify a moment where you're like, okay, we might need to X, Y, or Z. And so we found a midwife in Conway who, like, remarkably is so on the same page in terms of like terrain and terrain theory versus germ theory, that we were like, this couldn't be more perfect. She understands all of it. She is not a germs cause disease person at all. She was so laid back and allowing us, and Kelly in particular, to like sort of guide the ship. Right? What is your vision for this? Very much a non-interventionist and a lovely individual. That's who we went with. That's who we decided was going to be present at the birth of Hazel. And so December 4th was the due date, which I sort of laugh at the idea of a due date,
Right.
that like anyone based on conception date can just go, this is, it's, yeah, I guess you have to do it. You want like an X on the calendar, so you have some frame of reference for like, get ready, when can you start bending your knees kind of thing. But it's still sort of laughable to think that you can pinpoint when nature's going to decide,
Yeah.
when this baby's going to decide to come out. We suspected, I think Kelly suspected that Hazel would arrive on a night where we didn't have the kids. So we're a blended family. Kelly's two kids are here part time. They're with their dad part time, and then Grayson, my son, is here part time. Their schedules overlap, so they're all here at the same time. And Kelly just suspected like Hazel's not going to come when the kids are here. She's going to wait until we're just sort of like, we can take a breath and it's empty. Well, that didn't happen. So December 7th, which is Pearl Harbor Day. um, well, the day before, December 6th, that night, 11:30, Kelly wakes me up. Kids have all gone to bed. They're all sleeping in their respective beds. Kelly wakes me up and she's like, "Hey, I'm in labor." she's had contractions like a week prior, as much as like a week and a half prior, where she suspected like, oh, this could be it, but they had subsided, and now she comes and wakes me up and she's like, "This is it. I got to call Gail. Got to call the midwife, because this is happening." She calls Gail. Gail's in Conway, which is like on the other side of Conway. So she's like, I'm going to be probably 2 hours. It's going
Damn.
to take me 2 hours, settle
Yeah.
in, but for Kelly's births were, 6 hours, or her labors were 6 hours prior to this. So we're
Okay.
thinking it's going to be around that same time.
Yeah. This is going to be a morning birth.
Yeah, so that's 11:30 at night, and so I'm awake. We're both awake. We're the kids are asleep, thankfully. And Kelly likes to just sort of retreat, so she goes into the bathroom at some point, which is right off our bedroom, and sort of close the door, and I can hear her in there, and then all of a sudden, it's like 1 o'clock ish, and those sounds start to take on a new tone. Um, and I kind of recognize those from the first time around. Um, I pop my head in, and she's in it, and she says, I'm feeling pushy, and she had a moment. I don't want to like reveal too much. It's her story,
Yeah, right.
that I'm kind of sharing, but yeah, she's had a moment. Like it was a little overwhelming, and I could tell like, okay, we're farther along than I thought we were going to be. And she's kind of she's crouched down, she's facing the tub, holding on, and then she's like, I'm feeling really pushy. I feel like I need to push. And I'm like, okay, I need to get down, right? She's like, yeah, you better. And I crouch down, and she pushes. She has a contraction, and she pushes, and there's Hazel's head, like crowning right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the most surreal thing. But that's another word I want to come back to real quick. She pushes again, and there's Hazel's head and shoulders like in my hands, and then like one final time, and she's in my arms, and the cord's right there, and I kind of just like sit back, and I've got her, and she's like slippery, and she's like, and she cries like almost right away. I'm not really thinking, and I'm wanting to hand Hazel sort of through Kelly's legs up into her arms, but Kelly's like, I just need a minute. I need a minute. She's like kind of catching her breath. She's like, is the cord around her neck? I'm like, oh yeah, I should check that. I hadn't even, there wasn't
Right.
like the mental checklist was gone. I heard the cry. Everything seemed fine.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get Hazel into her arms as quickly as possible because that's what I'd seen. I'd
Right.
watched a few of these, but she just sort of needed a second. So I'm holding Hazel, and she's crying, but she looks great. And it's the most incredible moment, and Kelly reminds me, she's like, "Don't pull too hard, because the cord's still attached to the placenta, which is still in Kelly." And then, very, very shortly, we're able to sort of maneuver Hazel up into Kelly's arms so that they can be, skin to skin, and I call Gail. So she's hanging. They were hanging out in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Kelly's still sort of like crouched. She hasn't had a chance to really like sit back. It's not the most comfortable position at all. Uh, and she's not quite sure how to like, what to do next, where to go next. This is the moment where we're like, okay, we're good. Hazel's here, but now what? There's still like a lot of things that have to happen.
Yeah.
So I call Gail, who's the midwife, and she picks up right away, and she goes, "Do you have a baby?" She knew, like, she
She
knew.
knew.
Yeah. I was like, "Yes, Hazel's here. Doors are doors are unlocked." And she goes, "Okay, just make sure she's warm, just, like, very calm. I'll be
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna be, like, 10 minutes."
Yeah.
So we're hanging out. Gail shows up. She sort of just just calmly comes, checks everything out. She's like, "You're good." We get Kelly sitting on the comfortable, and then eventually into the bed. And right at that moment, Kelly's youngest boy like wakes up. We
No
got the little
kidding.
baby monitor on him,
Yeah.
and he starts calling out, and I'm like, I gotta I gotta go tend to this, because
Yeah.
if this starts to melt down, like the whole dominoes come down.
Totally.
So
Totally.
I pop out, like making sure that he falls back asleep, and then Kelly's in bed with the midwife, just chilling, like just hanging out with Hazel, who's great, and just waiting to like birth the placenta
Yeah.
and go through that whole process. So the rest of the morning, I mean, Gail was only there for like 2 hours,
No
3 hours,
kidding. Come on.
not that long, not that long. She didn't have to hang out that long. Um, and Kelly, birthed the placenta. Everything was like cool. Hazel's cool. She's sort of nursing, like was able to latch pretty quickly, um, and slept, and was the chillest newborn you could ever imagine. Gail came back to check on it. The kids woke up at like 6 o'clock, uh, and and was like, "Hey, you guys wanna meet your sister?" And they're kind of like, "Wait a minute." When we went to bed, Hazel was still in mom's belly. Like now she's like right here, and got them all on the bed, and they all got to say hi before they had to, head off to their parents' respective co-parent. And that was that. Like it was not a medical emergency. It was really helpful to have Gail there because, like I said, there's just, the birthing of the placenta.
Yeah.
You're sort of checking for tearing. There's like, for the mom, like,
Yeah.
is there bleeding? All that stuff. Like, there's just things that there's still like other processes. How's the baby? Like, can we just do a little check here? She seems fine, but um, that was that. Like, that was the free birth, the unexpected, unplanned, but like really fitting free birth that we both kind of wanted and got like the best of both worlds.
Totally.
And since then, Hazel's been amazing. Like she's a great feeder. She's a great sleeper. I got lulled into this false sense of like, oh, this is actually quite easy because she slept so much
The first
and was
couple days.
kind
Yeah.
of quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told Gail that. I'm like, it's amazing. We're able to get some sleep. And she goes, yeah, just wait. She hasn't figured out that she's here yet.
Right.
And she has now. She's got a set of lungs on her, but yeah, I think so. Some other things that have taken place, like Kelly, and again, this is her story. I don't think I'm oversharing. I think she'd be fine with this, but like, just around engorgement, mastitis, like I think these are things that women face, like a lot of women face as
Mm-hmm.
they're getting into breastfeeding with a newborn. So she had that issue. She had some really painful issues, and suspecting or worried about mastitis. And there's two kinds. There's like inflammatory or quote unquote bacterial. Like this is how the system labels it. Reached out to a lactation consultant who's nearby, hoping to get a lactation consultant to come by for like another set of eyes. Like looking into this lactation consultant, like she seems like a big believer in antibiotics. Like this
Yeah.
is looking at her Instagram, she's
Right.
like all about it. We're like, we're never going to do that.
Right.
Like there's no situation, and we're both on the same page. Like, so we threw the kitchen sink at this, like cabbage, castor oil packs, and like within 2 days, the engorgement goes down. There's no mastitis. Like Hazel's still feeding fine. There's like soreness and laceration stuff, but that's also kind of normal and being dealt with just in a normal way. So we're like, there's this confidence and this underlying like confidence and faith in Kelly's body and Hazel as this like beautiful terrain baby, like unsullied, just natural, that whatever is happening is totally normal, and her body will adjust and Hazel's going to adjust to Kelly's body adjusting. And that's just what's happened. Like she's had a couple really painful nights and days that she's gotten through, but gotten through it without any sort of like allopathic intervention,
Yeah.
and just like reassurances. And they're tough nights. Like man, mothers out there, holy crap. Like you don't get a break. You're not given a break. Like if you choose to breastfeed, especially, like you have this thing now just clinging to you 24/7,
Yeah.
pretty much 24/7, and you just get used to no sleep. You adjust to that no sleep thing. But um I think, yeah, like I told you in the wellness or in the after party, as a dad, I think as also for Kelly as a mom, but like having Kelly's gone through this is her third, this is my second. You and I are on this terrain journey. Hazel, there'll be times where it's like, I'm going to take her because she needs a break. Kelly needs a break. She's got to go to the bathroom. She wants to shower, all that stuff. Like I want to hold, my daughter, and she's awake and she's like, I just want the boob, and I can't give that to her. And she's crying. So she's going to cry. Like that's her only way of communicating. And old me with Grayson was just like, I would immediately start to like sweat, what, I can't do anything. Oh my God, this baby is like, this is a crisis. What is wrong with him? I don't know. Is he sick? Well, and now I just look at Hazel and I'm like, yeah, I get it. You want the boob, but mom, you're not going to get it yet. You're like, mama's in the shower. Like, we're just going to chill. We're going to rock. We're going to walk. And as I told you, like if I had a heart rate monitor on, I don't think my pulse has gone up. And despite this wailing little child, 1 week old in my arms. And it's funny, Kelly sent me a little a little post. We've been flinging the links back and forth around parenting and newborns,
Yeah.
and it's this parenting. This guy who does a lot of work on parenting, and he said that to new dads who are holding a newborn who's crying, if you can stay regulated, you are wiring that baby's brain for like co-regulation. You're wiring that baby to be able to regulate later on in life by you staying regulated and calm in the face of their crying. And so I'm keeping that in mind. That it's not like we're just not fearful. We're not concerned that every little thing, she's got a little crust in her eye or maybe like a little, little rash on her arm. Like we're just not concerned. It's not
Yeah.
an emergency. Everything's going to be cool.
Yeah. Your presence is what's so impressive. Calm and presence. You're just in the moment.
Just in the moment. And that's exactly what I thought today, this morning. So Kelly's she's like pumping on one side just because there's there's a laceration and it's really painful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she's feeding Hazel exclusively on one side. The other side, she's just having to pump to make sure it doesn't stay engorged. So we've got all this milk now that's hanging out, this great milk. And I'm like, that's going in my, I'm going to be drinking that if she doesn't.
Right in the smoothie.
That's going to be a breast milk enema. You watch out. you know, you forgot who you're partnered with here.
Oh my God.
So on a whim this morning, we've got all this milk and Kelly's like, you know what? Let's see if she'll just take a bottle. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
So we've got this beautiful little bottle and I got to feed Hazel for the first time.
Amazing.
And all I could think of was like, it's morning time. I'm usually like up and at 'em. Like I got to make, I'm going to make the breakfast. I'm going to get breakfast with Kelly, like all the things sorted out.
Yeah.
And I've got my newborn in my arms and I've just got this bottle and I'm watching her just like, she's got her eyes on me. I've got my eyes on her and she's just so content. And this is the first time I've been able to hold her for this length of time without her crying for the boob.
Yeah.
And it was the most magical moment. And I'm like, this is what it is. Like everything else can just slow down and stop and wait and fade away. Like I am just present with my daughter, feeding her. And that's what it is. Like that is the gift that I'd forgotten because it's been 9 years since I had a newborn in my arms, that you are just so pulled to the present. You can't be anywhere else. And it's a gift. It is a gift and a blessing. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that can be achieved any time of year, but I think it's especially special in the winter time where you're already cozy and holed up and it's cold outside and you're just inside with this baby, just keeping warm and being present and slowing down. And it's wonderful.
It's exactly what it's been. We've had the window, the two windows like right next to the bed flung open in the morning.
Yeah.
We've had a number of mornings where it's just like snow, just this beautiful big flakes of snow coming down. And there's snow on the ground and it's just magical, wintry, cozy. It's exactly what you just described. We got blankets. Hazel's getting fed and we're just like, it couldn't be more magical.
I can't think of a person who deserves this reality more than you, Ben. I mean,
I appreciate that, Mike.
You've had quite a life to date and you've ended up in such a joyous, calm, present place with the love of your life and a new life and growing family. And you weren't here that long ago. I mean, a lot has happened in a short amount of time. You've worked hard for it. But what a beautiful place to arrive. It's amazing to watch.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's been awesome having a friend like you kind of bear witness because you've been, all our weekly podcasts, like we do check-ins all the time.
Yeah. No,
it's one of the,
it's one of the blessings of my life to get to do this. So amazing to hear that story. I'll share on again, I'm just a dude who bears witness to women doing amazing things by giving birth. But when Ruthie was breastfeeding, I think it was Will with our first, and she had mastitis, and the midwife recommended, of all things, a vibrator, which was fucking hilarious, just to vibrate the nipple and just open things up, get it moving. And so Ruthie, this is her story, but so she had to go to the goddamn adult store in Kingston with an infant. And it's funny, they gave her shit because it's supposed to be 18 plus, and she's like, he's 3 weeks old, But there she was in there with her infant to buy the vibrator to open up the ducts. Unbelievable.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
That's all I
And
got on mastitis, but it's
that's
a
all you
pretty
got
good
on
one.
mastitis. Yeah. Well, it's just funny. I mean, you have these. It's like within a week of giving birth, like all of a sudden you have a disease label,
Right.
right? You've got a disease label, and what is the solution? Antibiotics. And the funny thing was, like, Kelly's sitting here like researching it and learning. Okay, there are two kinds, even within this system. There's like just inflammatory and then bacterial. And it seemed like this lactation consultant didn't quite distinguish between the two. Like it didn't
Yeah.
matter what kind you had, you're just going to get antibiotics. And
Right.
we're thankful. So she had set up an appointment with this lactation consultant on Saturday night, I think it was. So Sunday morning rolls around and we're like, this person has not verified. She's not confirmed. She hasn't asked for an address. So she just flaked. She never showed.
Oh, weird.
And it was a blessing in disguise because
Yeah.
our midwife was due a weekly visit. So she
Yeah.
came up and like
Yeah.
we were going to have both of them kind of there, and it just turned out that the lactation consultant didn't come. The midwife did. Everything sort of sorted itself out without the input of this person who clearly wasn't aligned,
Right.
the way that we would have liked. And everything's been fine.
So
Yeah.
cabbage and castor oil, like that that
Yeah.
that was that was the magic that worked.
Yeah. I took a trip down to the Whitefield market with Kelly's son. And I was like, we're got to go on a mission. Down, grabbed like a purple cabbage, a green cabbage, and we were just like, she was plowing through the cabbage leaves just,
Mm-hmm.
as a compress. And then, did some castor oil as
Mm-hmm.
well. And that worked. I mean, that worked.
That worked.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
So through a terrain lens, like what's and in the worldview that the body doesn't make mistakes, like what is going on with that? Do you think?
It's a great question.
Because it's not uncommon.
Mastitis.
No.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I guess, what is it? It's like an inflammation. I mean, you have this part of the body that is, I guess, dormant, right?
Right.
For however many years.
Yeah.
And then
Years.
all of a sudden it's like called upon
Yeah.
to do this thing. And maybe it's just like getting things going again,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It's a byproduct of just like this part of the body firing
Like
up again.
coming up back to life. Yeah.
Yeah. And until I think there's like, I should probably do more research on this, but there's clearly a correlation between like how much the baby drinks and how much the body thinks it needs to produce.
Yeah.
And within the first week, you can't expect calibration between those two things. You can't expect synchronicity between those two things. So if the body's overproducing, you're going to get some engorgement. If you're not, if the baby's underfeeding, you're going to end up with more milk production than you need. So you're going to have to try to pump. Sometimes pumping doesn't work. I think that it's just two independent systems that are trying to align.
Yeah.
And that's not ever going to be perfect. It's like seesawing, until they find that little balance.
We're
Here's
also
where
having fewer babies later in life, right? So it's possible if you start having children in your 20s, you're going to have less incidences of this. And if you're having babies every couple of years and you have a larger family, that the body's just, it knows what to do. It's dialed in.
Yeah, that also could be the case as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great question through the terrain lens. What is mastitis? I mean, what is any sort of inflammation?
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a function of the body that's not in use all the time, but it is during this time.
Yeah.
And it's just got to calibrate.
Yeah.
Calibration and balancing.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is. It's fun. It's fun. It's rewarding. It's like, I'm really excited to do this with Kelly because she is so aligned on so many things. Like almost everything, especially with regard to raising a kid. And now that, we know that she'll take a bottle, it's interesting. We were like, as we're doing it, Kelly's sort of like right there in bed. She's kind of hovering. I'm like, are you good? Do you want her back?
Right.
Is this an issue? This is the first time she's seen her baby fed by someone else.
Yeah.
And in real time, we're like, wait, okay, how should we be doing this? And also like, is she getting too much? You find all these suggestions around like the best body position. And the one that made the most sense was make sure that she's not getting so much milk that she starts to prefer the body
Right.
or the
The
bottle
bottle.
over
Exactly.
the nipple
Yeah.
because she has to work hard for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm like tilting the bottle back so she's not getting any milk. I'm like, "Oh, sorry." It feels like this sick game.
Yeah.
So she's like working at it and there's nothing coming out. I'm like, "I know." It's just weird. It's weird to be like all of a sudden in control of how much milk she's getting,
Yeah.
feeling like a little sadistic, but trying to space it out so it's not as enjoyable as the nipple.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. But at the same time
Nuance.
being like,
Nuance, baby.
nuance. Yeah. Nuance, baby. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, all right. So like, as we look back, this is going to be our last wellness check of 2025, looking into the new year, but also just reflecting on the year that has been. Like, what do you think from a terrain journey, health odyssey? Like, what have been your biggest like growth points?
Hmm. It's funny. I find myself almost at a loss only because the habits that we've stacked have become so normal that they don't seem like outliers anymore. They just seem like life,
Yeah.
right? Like sourcing food from places that I trust, getting, whether that's getting raw milk or uh, half a cow or the CSA, you know what I mean? Like it used to be that those were like novelties that I got really excited about, but now it's just life.
Yeah.
So like our habits are just becoming enmeshed in the day to day, which is kind of amazing. That just comes with consistency, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest improvement I can make. It's funny you joked at the beginning that I'd never get depressed. I do get pretty anxious. I can get very anxious, and I want to really start to get a handle on that. Most of it is financial, but not so much financial, but like quote unquote career. Just feeling like we're still proceeding towards the dream and the goal, of playing better shows for more people and creating more abundance in its wake, right? Um, and I definitely find myself stressing about that because it's kind of on me to manifest that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not healthy. It's funny doing that. I spoke about it in our last after party, but really wanted to observe my lunar return sacred secretion period
Mm.
last week. I wasn't really expecting any miracles to come from it. I just wanted to start the journey and to like honor that time in a more intentional way. And I observed the diet and I observed the breathing and the meditation and the mindfulness, but I was fucking stressed out. And that's no good. Like that's going to acidify your blood quicker than eating the wrong food. It's having right thoughts. You're trying to have right living, quote unquote, right diet, right living, but right thinking is what I found the thing that I have to do the most work on. And when everything's stripped away when you're observing a fast, those things bubble to the surface. But so it was good. It was a good reminder that's the thing that can get away from me. I think the quickest.
Yeah. The monkey mind.
The monkey mind, yeah. The worrying about the future. And one
Mm-hmm.
good thing about doing breath work, the whole idea is to think about the breath. Just be with your breath right here in the moment. But it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing how easy it is to slip into the future or dwell on the past. But especially worrying about the future, which is, there's you want to be proactive, you want to be organized, you want to pursue your goals and even just your to-do list, right? There's things to get done, but to stress about it is obviously no good. It's so obvious, but it's something that I struggle with.
So it's like stress and anxiety management moving into this is like sort of the next step in the journey for you, right?
Yeah,
You've acknowledged that this is something that you'd like to improve,
correct.
but you're already doing mindfulness, which should be addressing stress and anxiety to some extent, at least while you're doing it, right? And
Hmm.
should have some lasting effect beyond the actual practice itself.
Yeah.
What else have you like? What else do you think you'll do? What else are you drawn to try to like address this?
It's something I'm in the midst of figuring out.
Okay.
The biggest change in my it's I'm self-employed and we're artists, and it's easy to look at that through a romantic lens, but it's tricky. It's a tricky dance, and in my sort of aspiration to grow our team and have a few more hands, helping. We signed on with an agent this summer, and I think I just have to kind of, to use a term, trust the plan, because it's not
Mm,
kind of happening the way I would do it along the timeline that I would do it.
hmm.
Um, and then all of a sudden I got bandmates like, "Hey, are we working this month? Because I'm getting an offer from this." And I'm like, I would have had this dialed in already. I,
Wow.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been fielding these questions, because there's a rhythm to this. There's a timeline. When you get kind of within a certain uh, couple of months, the guys are getting other offers. So like just things like that. I think, and when I spoke with Ruthie about it, she just reminded me. She's like, it's okay. Like not every month, not every year has to be, this slam dunk of a booking tour, uh, reality. Just to breathe with it, get used to working with these new people. It's not all going to happen overnight. So just adjusting to a new thing is something that I didn't realize I'm so bad at. I'm kind
Like
of a creature of habit.
a creature habit, and then also just letting go, like an
Yes.
acceptance and a letting go thing.
Yep. 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 And like she
Yeah.
said, like it's like we primarily do make our living through playing gigs, and I enjoy playing gigs. I like the
Yeah.
adventure of the road. I like connection with an audience. I like the whole
Yeah.
enterprise. But there are other things we can do. Teach lessons, you know, uh, what else do we do?
You're not,
Recording sessions, produce albums for people. Like we have other skill sets that we have tapped into in the past just to pay the bills. But um, I think I get caught up in the romance of, we've got a new record, and when you have a new record, you want to be everywhere all at once as fast as you can. But the industry's changed, and so letting go of expectations and just being in the moment, and being a little more nimble and trusting that it's all happening how it should.
mm.
Yeah.
Would it also be helpful to start to strategize ways to fill that space? Like if the year is not
Yes.
like what Ruthie considers a slam dunk from a touring perspective, or at least like totally booked, can you find other ways to be an artist,
Of course. Yeah.
to be creative, and scratch that itch
Yes. Yeah.
that
There's
doesn't involve pointing the iPhone at you and doing a
Well,
15-second
some of
jingle?
it will involve pointing the iPhone at me. It has to.
Yeah.
That is something.
Yeah.
That's another thing I want to commit to improving at.
Yeah.
I go in and out with it. Sometimes I get really fired up about it. Sometimes it just pisses me off. But also, there's plenty of uh, music we can be recording.
True.
I've wanted
Yeah.
to make just a clawhammer banjo record for
Oh,
20
wow.
years.
Yeah.
Uh, every band with a head on its shoulders should have a Christmas album, because
I
those
you
are
know,
it's
dude,
just a no brainer. You know what I
Kelly
mean?
and I were just talking about that 2 weeks ago. I was
Yeah,
like, "Where's the Mammals Christmas
yeah.
album?"
We've already got half a dozen or eight songs that aren't even like quote unquote Christmas songs. They're just songs we've written that are appropriate for the season. And, you add Silent Night and Jingle Bells in, and then you got 10-song album. It's like
100%.
it wouldn't take much. So yeah, it's a no brainer for sure.
Okay. Okay. So there are I mean, and I know
Plenty to do. There's
you.
plenty to do.
I know you too. Like you are a bottomless well of creativity. Like there's no, you will never want for a project, a creative project.
Yeah.
I think it's just where are you going to turn that attention. I think also you're one who wants to, like, when you choose a bone to sink your teeth into, you're not on to the next bone quickly. You're like
Right.
you want to worry that thing right down to
Yeah.
the bitter end, right?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you commit to it. I think it's the social media thing is an interesting one. I think you and I are going to have a lot of conversations about it
Yeah.
in the coming year, because it's I think it's different when you're just an average Joe and you're getting your dopamine fix, and you're kind of addicted, and there's no necessarily like point to it, or it doesn't like inform your profession or your career or build your profession or career. But you as a musician, like that is your audience.
It is.
You've built
Yeah.
your audience from show to show to show that now follow you digitally.
Yeah.
And I think that if you look at it that way,
Yeah.
like every little clip can just be a little mini performance for your audience. They're
Correct.
following you not just because they like you, Mike Miranda, as a friend, but they admire you as the artist, as a musician, and Ruthie and the Mammals. And so providing, yeah, just that's how you fill that gap.
Yeah.
We might not be on the road as much, but we're going to be performing for you digitally
Yeah.
on your terms. And I know that you're a perfectionist. You don't like to put stuff out there that's crap. I admire you for that. I really do admire you for that. And I think you'll find a way, and I think you'll find a way to enjoy it, to see the value in that.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's it's work. It's good work. It's part of the
Yes.
work.
Yeah.
It's not like you said, it's not the social part of the media. It's the media part of the media. Create the
Yeah.
media. Yeah.
Yeah. But it can be social. I mean, it's going to have to like take the
Right.
place of all the in person.
Yeah.
And that's not maybe as ideal, but it can also just be rewarding because you
Yeah.
can hit people in Australia. Like you're not going to be able to get to
Exactly.
Australia, but if you got fans in Australia, they get to see you and interact with you a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. One cool
Yeah.
thing, evolution of the homestead. We just redid our kitchen, which was
A
a
project.
travail. Yeah, it took. We're still kind of. I mean, the kitchen is functional, but the house gets rearranged, furniture's in weird places. It's like it's funny how disruptive that is just to the day to day.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
I'm realizing how much of a creature of habit I am. But one of the fallouts of that was I lost my. I never had an office, but I always had a desk, right?
Yeah.
And so my desk got relocated. Um, and then when the Christmas tree came in last week, it had to go where my desk was. So, and it's like it's very unsettling because a desk is like it's the control station.
Dude, it's the
It
alchemist's chair, right?
it's
Like
the
that's
alchemist chair, and let alone all the like the ephemera and just stuff that you collect and the I don't know, notes from people and letters that you get and guitar picks and stickers from just like stuff collects and you want to put it somewhere, usually in your office.
yes. Yes.
Um, so now my office is up here in the studio. I've got a desk up here. I've got, my laptop and my calendars and I was a little resistant to that because as much as I love the studio and spending time in it, I liked delineating like this was the recording studio. It's where I did music and podcasting and like I didn't really want to do like booking and email and correspondence up here.
Mm.
Also, like it takes a minute to heat it up. You got to it's middle of winter. You can't just like roll out of bed and make yourself a cup of tea and like get to work at the kitchen table. You got to put your boots on and go across the snow. And you know what I mean? It's just like any little excuse to like not work. You'll take. But now that it's up here, it's great, and I think it's actually gonna yield a lot more productivity because it's gonna. I always want to spend more time in the studio. So just being up here with more regularity, I think is going to be a good thing.
Amazing.
Creativity and also just work production. So and I
That's
think that all is by way of saying it's going to um, make me less anxious because I think it'll make me more productive.
that's amazing. Okay, so you've already got a solution.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
It's
It's
good.
incredible. Okay.
It's good. It's good. Yeah, but anxiety, that's the thing that I want to like tackle the most in the new year. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You suggested though, just like going on walks. I've been trying to go on more
Yeah.
walks. Now that the sun is where it is in the sky, I usually would walk down to the reservoir. That was kind of my happy place. But there's this road called Vinegar Hill.
I know
It's
Vinegar Hill. I love
yeah,
that road.
yeah. And in December, you're
Yeah. I bet it's
walking,
beautiful.
you walk straight at the sun.
Yeah.
And it's not like that the rest of the year. The sun's more like you're walking down to the reservoir. So
Right.
you get that morning sunlight and it's a very quiet road. There's never a car on it. And so I've been doing that with some regularity. And that's been, that actually really tamps down the anxiety as well.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
Simplicity. Yep.
Yeah. I love that. That's the road that connects what is it, 28A
Yeah. And spillway.
and Spillway.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just a little residential road.
Yeah.
It's almost like a single lane at places. It feels like it's really
Exactly.
tight, but you're in the trees and it's got these little like hills and little
Yeah.
turns. Yeah.
Yeah. And with the sun, that cinches it.
That's amazing.
That's good.
That's amazing. I was listening to, I don't know, an interview with a guy talking about light, and he mentioned cold and the seasonality. Like we are up here, northern hemisphere. We don't get as
Yeah.
much sun, right? It's at a low
Yeah.
angle.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen a lot of pushback against cold thermogenesis, cold exposure, cold plunging.
Totally.
It's funny. It's just like once something becomes so mainstream,
I know.
there's got to be pushback.
Definitely.
So folks are like, from a traditional Chinese medicine standpoint, like
Right.
cold's not good for
They're not
you.
into cold. Exactly.
Not into cold. Inflammation is a good thing. Cold suppresses inflammation. Is that good for your body? All this pushback against it.
Yeah.
And I've maintained it. I've continued to do cold plunging, maybe not quite as often as I was just now that Hazel's here, but I'm trying to stay regular. And this this guy was mentioning that when you get cold, when the body gets cold, it has to produce its own internal heat. And that heat that happens like at a cellular level is basically releasing is almost like the same as UV light. So you're getting
Hmm.
this like light inside you because of the cold that makes up for the lack of sunlight in the wintertime. And
Amazing.
that what folks deprive themselves of in the winter is that cold because they stay inside and they stay warm and they try to avoid the outdoors, to their detriment potentially.
Yeah.
So that
Creating more
for
of a sun deficit.
correct, and
Yeah.
and this is actually just the way that the body compensates for a lack of sun. You have to get cold. It's in your best interest in these winter months to get outside, experience that cold. So I've continued to do the cold plunging and also just embracing, the outdoors as much as I can. And this, it's validation, right? You hear something and you're like, oh, that's validating. This is why I'm going to continue cold plunging.
Right.
It's not the only reason, but it was just interesting to hear that like the body has its own way of making up for lack of sunlight, and it does so internally.
Especially this time of year. Like
You have
this
to.
would be the easier time of year to make an excuse to like, oh, it's like you said the other day, it's 5 degrees outside. I'm going to go get in my cold plunge. But like
Yeah.
when you're armed with that knowledge, like, well, no, this is when I need it the most.
When I need it the most. And the other thing after that conversation with Nico Kennedy, actually Kelly and I had a call with her. I think I mentioned it to you in
You
an
did.
after
Yeah.
party. Yeah, which was an incredible 90-minute call with her just about circadian rhythm and a newborn. Actually, she recommended this rice porridge
Yeah.
to have in the slow cooker when Kelly went into labor. And like, that was the first thing I did when Kelly woke me up. She's like, I think I'm in labor. I'm like, I'm going to go get the crock pot. And
Amazing.
as she's starting laboring, I'm throwing these like spices into this rice porridge to get it ready so that when the baby comes and Kelly's like hungry,
Yeah.
she can have this thing. And it was this delicious warming thing. But anyway, after that conversation with Nico, I've been so much more aware of circadian rhythm and light.
Yeah.
And it's definitely more challenging when you wake up and it's getting light at like 7,
Yep.
right? You're waking up at 6, it's still dark, getting light at 7, and you look at the temperature, it's like 5 degrees out.
Yep.
And you're going, okay, like here's the, we're in the dining room. You see that, that swinging like those doors out onto
Yeah.
the back deck, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's really cold. It's cold out there. It's like really cold, but it is really important to get out and have sun on my eyes and on my skin as early as I can. So committing to that, one, first thing in the morning as often as I can, and then just being outdoors. Like when we have the kids, they don't have school on Fridays. So we're home. I'm with them. I'm like, now that the baby's here, it's like if I can get everyone outside
Yeah.
for as much as I can during the day. Like it just keeps like the peace.
Yeah.
We have been outdoors all day on Fridays. It's like 10 degrees out and we're bundled up and we're either building snow forts or we got a sledding hill that we discovered like a quarter mile through the woods down a logging trail.
Beautiful.
Just getting as much outdoor time and light and matching the circadian rhythm. And everyone says when you get a newborn, like you don't get sleep. And I know that like we're both a little behind on it,
Of
but
course.
really dialing in the circadian sort of health has made a huge difference. Like I'm tired when I need to be.
Yeah.
I am sleeping when I need to be. I'm not having these these bouts of insomnia where I wake up at 1 and I can't fall back asleep, which was happening to me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because I'm just trying to really double down on that circadian health
Yeah.
and being cold and getting that early morning light and being outside as much as possible has been like a transformative.
Are you still? Did you implement some different lighting strategies in the home as well?
So we got the amber lights. We've got amber light bulbs in the main rooms where activity is still happening towards, the evening,
Like kitchen,
and
living room?
kitchen, living room. Yep.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
in the bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And so
And
when
those are
the
just
sun,
amber light bulbs?
amber light bulbs, yeah.
Yep, yep.
When the sun goes down outside, we transition. So we got this amber light. It took a little while for the kids to like embrace it. They're like, it's too dark, but now they
Yeah,
just sort of go along with it.
yeah.
And then in our bedroom, I've got that red light. And when it's time for like bed, we've got the amber light and the red light, and then we'll just shut the amber light off, and then we just got a red light. So the one thing we haven't done yet are the red light strips, because
Right,
that's that final phase.
right.
So I sort of got an eye on that, either probably like just after the new year, to get that in place. But that has also made a huge difference. Just
Yeah,
keeping lights dim, and in the morning as well, when the kids get up and it's the sun hasn't risen yet,
yeah,
just go with those amber lights for now. Like, we're just amber lights, really low lighting,
yeah,
so that we're not, dumping cortisol at the wrong time. We're just like, we're going to come up gradually
yeah.
inside just
Ease
as
into
the
the
sun
day.
ease into the day. And I don't know, it's too early. And like you said, sometimes we just throw the kitchen sink at things and we don't know what's causing what, because we are doing a lot of changes at once. But
Yeah,
have noticed that sleep seems great. Kids are going to sleep when they need to, when they're supposed to. They're getting good night's sleeps. They're all like feel pretty regulated from that perspective. So that seems like it's been a real win.
beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like my family's not quite up to speed on that conversation we had with Nico, which sort of lit a fire under our ass to get that dialed in. But one feature of the new kitchen is that all the lights are on dimmers, and
Yeah.
they're good incandescent bulbs, and they're basically amber when they're at low light. And so I've been leaning into that when I have to get up early to make lunches for the kids. And of course, Ruth will come in or the kids will come in like, it's freaking dark in here. It's like, yeah, it's they'll yeah.
Yeah. It's
I'm always the one turning the lights down and trying to lean into that a little bit as well.
Do you guys have candles?
I've got to get. I think it's Christmas time. I'm going to invest in some candles, maybe just as a gift to myself. We do, but I'm not so good about lighting them.
Yeah.
Or just like having them set up, ready to go. They're
Yeah.
like in a box or in a closet or on a shelf. I don't visit regularly or whatever.
I think that's something that I'd love to introduce to the home, because we've
Yeah,
got a couple, but we don't have them everywhere. I think I'm a little hesitant just because,
you got little
my
ones around. Yeah.
9-year-old, 4-year-old, it's
Yep.
like
Yep.
there's a fire hazard. But if you have a couple in the main rooms and you can sort of keep an eye on it, I think that can also be a really lovely thing. I mean, you could stare at a candle forever, and I think
Yeah.
kids can sort of just stare at a candle forever. And as
Yeah.
long as they're not like putting paper over it,
Better
it
than
could
a
be good.
bonfire.
Better than,
Yeah.
as better than a bonfire.
Babies and fire. We have a wood stove, which throws some natural light, which is lovely. And
It
I
is lovely.
start every day. I think of chop wood, carry water. Um, I like my chores in the morning. What gets me outdoors, and I've mentioned this on past episodes, is the chickens.
Yeah.
It's not like they're kicking out the eggs in the middle of winter, but it gets
No.
me outdoors. It gets me first thing in the morning, go feed the chickens, check in with them. Like you said, it's cold. Bundle up, put your shoes on, do it. They would be fine if I waited till 10 o'clock, but I don't. And I bring firewood in, I feed the chickens, and that's a nice way to greet the day.
Absolutely.
Get
Gets
the
as
real
you
life,
said,
get you outside.
gets you outside. Yeah. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. But you're a night owl too. You've always been a night owl.
I'm not so much anymore. I can fall back into it because I enjoy it, but I pay the price more these days. Like again on the hockey nights. Not that
Yeah.
that's like staying up late like goofing around with a guitar or something, but it's still a late night, and the next day is always a trick.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. Now on the nutrition front, so we're coming off like a nice stretch that's not even done yet, talking about raw plant exclusive, raw meat, Agenus vonderplanets, natural hygiene, mucusless, fruitarianism. Where are you?
I think I'm kind of sticking with what I called the upside down food pyramid that I kind of embraced in the last couple of years, which is basically Weston A. Price, I would say. I'm still there. That
Mhm.
It was a little bit of a test again last week doing the alkaline diet. And it really, and granted, you need to do it for more than a few days to like let your body adjust and sink in. But I realized that the fuel that I relish is meats, you know, basically every day. That's what I'm used to. It's comfortable and I feel good eating them. And so after talking to Marlon, it kind of gave me the confidence to lean back into that after a bunch of natural hygiene conversations where I was feeling maybe a little bit of a guilt trip. Um, I feel good. I feel good eating that stuff. Family feels good eating that stuff. Um, I don't feel like it's a detriment to me, so I'm just gonna keep rocking that. Again, I'd like to be a little more disciplined looking at my lunar return schedule and try to find ways to be more prepared um, entering into that week. It's really more
Mhm.
than 3 days. It should be basically an entire week, which makes sense, cosmologically. In the moon cycle, 28 days, 7 days in a week. Like it should be a whole week of like easing into it, having the actual 3 days of the secretion and then easing out of it. And I think ideally I would be on an alkaline plant-based diet for that entire week. So like that's something I'm gonna have to like do some soul searching on to see if I can actually pull it off. But I'm gonna try to be a
I
little bit
know you can pull
better
it
about that.
off.
Yeah. Well, I think I have something I've said before. I think that's when I want to be water fasting.
Okay.
I think that kind of kills two birds with one stone.
Once a month. So once a month, you'll
I
be
want to
a
be doing
water
more
fast?
water fasting anyway.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, line it up with my lunar return for at least some of that period.
Like the 3-day secretion
Yes,
period?
that
Okay.
ideally. Yep.
Yeah. I
Yep.
think that sounds so doable. So the 7 days that aren't the 3 days. So like the 4 days you'd be doing maybe alkaline, like
Yep.
even plant-based potentially.
Yeah, I mean, like I did a bunch of quinoa and black beans and avocado as like my main meal for that day. Like sort of like taper into a water fast with that, and then out of it the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, when you do something, uh, kind of like I, without preparation and just like you just flip the switch and do it, it kind of was a shock to my system. But if I can learn to like fall into that rhythm and get a little better at it each month, that's a goal.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we'll have that conversation with our sage to get a better understanding of, the details of how we should be doing this, and then also I think the motivation for it, which is like what's the outcome? What's the
yeah.
potential outcome?
And we since we think about this stuff and talk about it all the time, it's like, and I like to look at holidays and traditions that are baked into our culture as a guide because they're baked into the culture for a reason. Like, and I think
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before, like, Good Friday where you don't eat meat. It's like that's a day where you don't eat meat. Like maybe might be an oversimplification, but I'm extrapolating to think that you use these diets strategically over the
Mm.
course of a month. It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have to be your lifestyle. I
Yes.
think you just I don't know, pick your battles is the right expression, but like you don't need to eat meat every day. You should observe certain uh, rhythms of the
Rhythms, yeah.
month. And that's
Yeah.
what I want to lean into and get better at, right? You don't need to just stop eating meat, but maybe you should stop for this week or this day or this
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So getting a better understanding of that, I want to lean more into study. I'm a accolade of Steve Falconer. I want to lean more into the tissue soul understanding, and that marries so well with the lunar returns. I just want to go deeper into that and not just be like a hobbyist, but actually like a student of that work.
I love that, man. I love that. I I am woefully behind on this, this idea of like the secretion, pineal gland activation, lunar return, and I'm really eager to have this conversation with our sage because I sense that I'm woefully behind. Every time you bring it up, I'm like, oh my god, Mike is like so much farther down this path. And I want to catch up. I want to catch up, and I feel like it's not something that's majorly disruptive
Yeah.
in one's life to do this. It's not like you have to seal yourself in a cave
Right.
for 7 days or even 3 days. Like it's an observation that you do through like selective nutrition, selective diet.
Yep.
You're a little more maybe focused right on breathing, and
Yep.
it's finding some time to like be mindful or meditate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And breath work. But
Mm-hmm.
that's really it, right? You're not out under the moon like howling or
Right.
some crazy ceremony.
Yep. I
It's
think
just
you want to
gonna
go inwards more, and that's what I meant. I think like, so even like taking it as far as like looking at my touring schedule, like maybe I want to avoid
mm,
being on the road that week. That's what I mean. Like that's a bigger commitment, like to like really plan ahead, look at the year and the months to come, and be like, am I really gonna like arrange my life around this you know what I mean? In a
yeah.
logistical fashion.
Well,
Yeah.
for you, that's buy-in. Like if you
Yeah.
do that, if you go
Right.
to that length, that's just buy-in.
Right.
Now you're committed. You're committing yourself,
Yep.
and I admire that. And I think that I would be pulled in that direction too, to do the same thing because I like solidarity. I like when we try to do
Totally.
the liver flushes together and
Yeah.
the water
Which
fast. Just
we should schedule another one of those.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That and water fasting.
Yep.
It's sort of gotten away. It's harder to I think it's a little harder to do when you're kind of sleep deprived and all of a
Definitely.
sudden we're just trying to like
Yeah.
figure out what the
You're just
rhythm
trying
of
to
this
find some
household.
ballast. Exactly.
Yeah, a little bit. But at the same time, I go like, well, maybe there's no better time for this, right? Like
Yeah.
we're already pushed a lot of things away to focus more on the baby, and that's just really kind of home time and chill
Yeah.
time anyway.
It's been 1 week, man. Yeah.
It's been 1 week. So there's a couple things that I definitely want to be introducing in the new year, and I think one of them is this lunar return idea. So the conversation with our sage will be perfect in the new year.
Yep.
Making sure that I'm doing more regular water fasting, another liver flush,
Mm-hmm.
dialing in circadian rhythm, and then I am transitioning more to like fruitarian. I am still eating meat.
Mm-hmm.
My meals in the evening are more just, I'd say, like you, Weston A. Price.
Yep.
Processed food is just like I really don't do it.
Yeah.
We just don't have it. We really don't have it in the house. Like
What
the
about like a
most
bag
I'll
of
do,
chips or some like corn chips
that's
or
it.
something? Yeah.
Tortilla chips will be the only, like literally kind of the only thing. I'll be like, oh, I want a little bit of hummus,
Yep.
and some tortilla chips. That'll be my weakness. But if that isn't my one vice, like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm still doing pretty good. And we're getting like avocado oil. Like we're not getting,
Exactly.
so it's
Yeah.
just like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll
Pick
allow
your
myself this.
battles. Yep. Yep.
However, like as I said in past after parties, like I am breaking my fast with just fruit in the mornings.
Yep.
I've been very religious about that, for lack of a better word.
And no
Um,
raw egg. Like you're off the
yeah,
agenus, I'm guessing. Yeah.
I've moved away from that smoothie, even though that thing was amazing,
Yep.
and I loved it, and it felt right for my body.
Yep.
I am going to. I'm feeling, as I told you in a text the other day, yesterday I think it was, like I'm feeling not an aversion, but the call away from dairy.
Yeah. You said
Um,
that.
yeah, so Kelly and I get amazing raw cream, we get amazing raw milk
Right.
on
You
the
have great
regular,
access to it. Right.
great access to it. However, there's something about it. Like I at least want to try. Just let's remove this from my diet. The fruit has been awesome. I feel really good when I eat that first thing in the morning. I don't feel like I've bogged my digestive system down
Mm-hmm.
with heaviness. I feel like I've like woken it up, and the fire is just like, and I don't get starving immediately, and I don't get starving or crash, within hours. That feels good. I think I need to eat more fruit when I am deciding to break my fast,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it's not going to be a huge transition to then adopt, plant based for that the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be challenging just given that everyone else in the house is going to continue eating the way that we normally eat.
Right.
But I feel like I can do it, and I
Yeah.
and I want to do it. I feel like I owe it to myself and to the conversations we've had with these folks who are ardent plant first, raw plant, to just give it a go and see how it works for my body and see how I
Yeah.
respond.
You think like for 6 months or so?
We'll see. I think if I can do, yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That would be a lot. Um, but if I can do, I mean, carnivore, I did for almost that. I'd like to think I did that for about that long, and that was fine. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I feel like if I can do a month of this, like
Right.
mucusless or like raw plant plant exclusive natural hygiene approach, if I can do a month, I think once that month is over, depending on how I feel, the next, the rest comes
Totally.
easy,
But
right?
a month will be enough time to know.
I think so. It'll be a start anyway.
Yeah.
It'll something will happen.
That's for damn sure.
Something will happen, and
Yeah.
we'll see what that is.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I want to try and make sure I've got a handle on is my concussion awareness health, because I can be a little maybe naive about that. And there's definitely been some collisions this season that make me think like,
Already.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's something and I wonder if that triggers my anxiety as well. Actually,
Yeah.
as a side effect of basically brain health.
Absolutely.
So that's something I've got an eye on as well.
Yeah, I mean that there's that sort of like chemical cascade that happens after a
Yep.
concussion,
Yep.
and I think it's crazy to think that that wouldn't have an impact on mood,
Yep. Exactly.
right?
I know that it
S-
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
As we enter 2026, what kind of topics, Mike, do you want to be exploring more on this podcast?
boy, what a great question. I'm kind of just a take it as it comes guy. I feel
Yeah.
like in past years, maybe I've had my sights set on something in particular, but I'm kind of in it for the discovery, to see what comes next, to be surprised by new information as opposed to try and like chase it down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. More of this esoteric though, right? The
Yeah, well, I
esoterica.
do I do love that. I mean, and it's funny, like the deeper you get into something, I remember getting the God Man Word Made Flesh book. I think is very accessible, and that was a great sort of gateway first book
Hmm.
into like the allegories of biology encoded in the Bible. And of course, I watched Steve's film like 5 times, and that his film was drawing a lot from that book. The other book, I think it's called The Zodiac and the Salts of Salvation. I remember I couldn't get a few pages. It was so dense that I
Interesting.
couldn't make heads or tails of it. But now it's a page turner. And that's only like a year or two different. So it's like as your consciousness evolves and grows, you can go back to texts that you couldn't make heads or tails of, and all of a sudden it makes a lot more sense. So like,
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I'm kind of content. Instead, I'm bring it on. Whatever comes next, I'm here for it. But like we have taken on so much new knowledge that I
Yeah.
don't just want to like burn past it and leave it in. It's like I want to keep circling back and making more sense of it and
Got it.
implementing it in like a more profound way, as opposed to just like going on to the next shiny thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we did this revisit with Marlin.
Yes. And look
Just a
at
little
his
more.
journey. Yeah, like his evolution. Like we're all evolving, but
Yeah.
it's important to like take stuff with us instead of just burn past it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you and I could, take a look at some of the themes or topics that we've hit in the past like 4 years or since we started the podcast and
Yep.
go, okay, this one bears revisiting.
One
I,
thing I have a habit that we've, it's not nothing groundbreaking, but that I want to lean into more is just more saunas, because I enjoy
yeah,
them so much, especially in the wintertime. We should have
yeah,
someone on just to talk about, sauna
sure.
science, because we
Heat.
never really have. Yeah.
Yeah, heat
We've
therapy.
done cold plunging, but we haven't really done sauna specific.
Yeah.
Um, that's something that I go through spurts where I'm trying to get like a weekly sauna in, but then there'll be a month or two that goes by with nothing. So try to find a little more discipline there, because I think my body really reacts well to it as well.
I'm with you. There's nothing better. I've never felt better than when I emerge from a sauna. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think
like the
anything beats
ultimate
it for me.
creature comfort, man. Yeah.
Just got a
Well,
nice sweat on.
yep.
Yeah.
And you can't
Uh,
really do anything else. You're just in there sweating and maybe
correct.
having a conversation, but like,
No,
so
you're
it's like
breathing.
you're breathing, it's social,
Yeah.
like you're pushing out toxins. But I also think there's a there's a emotional component of just like dialing it down and like regulating that.
Yeah.
So more saunas.
I've said it. I've said that to Kelly a number of times in the last couple of weeks. Like we need to get a sauna.
What would be your go-to in your neighborhood? Do you know,
Say again.
for a sauna location? Yeah.
Oh, well, there is. Okay, so there's the Mountain View Grand, which is a giant, well-known hotel that's 10 minutes away. It's like right
Okay.
down the road, and they have
There
a
you go.
gym. They have a gym
Yep.
membership option, and they have a sauna right off their indoor pool. So I could do that,
Yep.
but no, I meant we need a sauna right here on the
Oh, at
property.
the homestead.
Yeah, so like either build one or just
Yep.
get like a two-person,
Yep.
um, and be able to bounce back and forth between cold plunging and sauna. The one time I did that in Burlington, it was like an evening, and I had a gift certificate to this little pop-up that exists right down on the lake, and they've got 2 really beautiful saunas,
Yeah, I remember
and
you.
then
That was early on when we were doing this
yeah,
podcast. Yeah.
2 cold plunges. So you're just in there, you're in there for an hour, right? You've reserved it for an hour, and you just, if you want to, you do whatever you want, but you bounce back and
Yeah.
forth.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my
And
favorite way to cold plunge for
I
sure.
remember that night coming out of there, and I went on my way into Burlington. This was in the holidays. It was before Christmas, and I did like an hour of Christmas shopping. I was in like the crystal shop getting organite and shungite, and in like this herbal tea shop getting stuff for people. And I was on cloud nine. I was absolutely euphoric. My
Yeah.
mind and my body felt so good and relaxed and chill. And I was like, that was like 40 minutes. That was just 40 minutes of bouncing back and forth.
Yeah.
And that was before that was like before I could do cold plunging. I mean, I was in that cold plunge. I don't know what the temperature was. It was, fairly cold. I couldn't really hang. I didn't have the callus built up, and I didn't
Right.
have that like humming and the breathing. So
Yeah.
I was like in there, freaking out, trying to get my hands and my feet out of it. And
Yeah.
like I would only hang out in there for like 30 seconds before I was like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah. Get me back
Now
in the sauna. Right.
like I can, I could be chilling in the, 3 minutes in the cold plunge, 10 minutes in the sauna, just like do a little session. And
Yeah.
if you're doing that regularly, oh my God, like the euphoria,
Yeah.
like throw
Yeah.
anything at me, life. Cause after that, I can handle it.
Amen.
Yeah.
So it's
Heat
funny to
therapy.
think that your cold plunge temperature, what is it called? Your Viking King or something like that?
Yeah.
What's
The Nordic wave. Yeah.
the Nordic wave? That it's warmer than the outdoor temperature now.
Oh, way warmer. Yeah. Cause it goes into, yes, because if
It's
it
just funny
has,
that to think of it as that you're going into a warmer space than
I
the
am.
outdoor air temperature.
I am. It was, dude, it was -10. It was -10 degrees the other day here. And actually, it's -20 in Whitefield
Yeah.
one morning. And I'm like, that thing's got to be broken. Like, it has to be frozen over. And the chiller just turns into like a warmer. So it stays at 40 degrees. That's its like cold weather protocol, is it stays at 40 degrees, the water.
Yeah.
So nothing ever freezes up.
Yeah.
And that's the warmest that cold plunge ever gets, is 40 degrees. And I'm like, I would rather, if I get out right now, my feet are going to
Yeah.
stick to the
They're going to
deck,
stick to the
like trying to get in, like hold the handle to open up the door to get in. I'm like, my towel, I have to wrap my hand in my towel because I don't want to freeze onto it. It's bananas.
It's truly bananas.
Yeah. But imagine going from that out into the freezing air and then take a
Yeah.
second and then go into a sauna. And
Yes.
that's what I would like. That's the vision.
That's the
It
stuff.
sounds indulgent, but I think it's safe for the family.
Hmm.
Not the baby, but like certainly for Kelly. And I think 9, 8-year-old, like they can handle
Yeah.
a little bit of sauna time, and I think it'd be good for them.
Especially, saunas often have tiered seating. Kids generally
Yes.
hang out closer to the floor or down low, and they can hang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone can get a little sweat on. Like you're not sweating enough in the winter. It's
No.
hard to work up a sweat when it's, 10 degrees outside.
Well, that is one reason I've leaned into playing hockey, because that is where I get a good sweat on.
And
But
yeah, hockey players
I mean,
sweat.
I can't pretend it's not. It's reckless. It's dangerous. It just
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
just is. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at you. I mean, that's growth, dude. Genuinely, you've had this in your life and you're still able to do it.
Yep.
Your body's not failing. There's no reason to not be out there, except that you have an awareness
Yep.
that it might no longer serve you in the long
Yeah.
run. Or the
I have to
short run.
have sort of a heart to heart with myself on that, because it's real. I get knocked around, or I'm a defenseman. Like, it's like the only way to play hockey, like throw your body in front of the puck.
That's all
Like,
you know.
if you lay out to break up a 2-on-1 and you're like flat on the ice, and then some guy kicks you in the head, like, it's not his fault, but you still got kicked in the head. So
No, it's
I gotta man up a little bit about that. It's getting a little. I'm almost 50. I've had so many concussions, and like, as much as I want to say that I know I can heal from them, but the more they happen, the symptoms hang out for a while, and I can't ignore that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, and I like, before we sign off, like, good on you. That's a no small feat. to have that heart to heart and potentially step away or really scale back on that.
Yeah.
But it also, it just brings up this thing about like the body can heal. We like to return to that. That's our mantra, right? The body can heal. It can heal from anything. And I'm just no longer convinced by that. I think like anything, if you look at a car, you get to a point where a mechanic is just going to be like, there's nothing you can do here, right?
You need
Like
a new car, right?
you need a new car because so much has broken down, and in the human body, like you can't just go replacing lungs and livers, and like eventually you just can't do that. I think that because of the onslaught of environmental toxins, like multiple concussions to your head, can you bring the body to a place where it's like, sorry, like you're not going to be normal anymore. Like your new normal is just dialed way down from what your previous new normal is because of the wear and tear.
Yeah.
And if you don't make this choice, it's like alcohol consumption. I was thinking about this. Part of this journey for you and I, you had given up alcohol before terrain theory came. But for me, really cutting alcohol out of my life in a huge way was 5 years ago. And I don't know where I'd be right now as a human if I had kept up the level of consumption. And I wasn't like an alcoholic. I wasn't binging, but I was regularly drinking still.
Yeah.
And I look around at my peers who are my age, who are regular drinkers, and I'm like, man, like you don't look good. You don't look healthy. That's just on the surface. Um, you look like you've aged 20 years. Uh, if I kept that up, I think my body would just be collapsing. Like I think all my health would just be dominoing in the wrong direction.
Despite the
Um,
habit stacking.
Despite the habit stacking, I just think that there like your body can reach breaking points. It can be overloaded. It can get to the point where it's like it might need something drastic to
Yeah.
reset. And even that, a 30-day water fast might not get it back to where it was at 20 years old.
Yeah.
I just think that you have to continue to like pull things away that you didn't have to do at 30, and get tighter and tighter and tighter as you get older and older and older, in order to keep this where it is. And even then you might see a little diminishment in function just because that's the aging process.
Yeah.
That's just part of aging. And also just for folks like one too many concussions. If you've had 20 major concussions, sorry, like a 30-day water fast and all the cell salts like might not ever bring your brain back to
Yeah.
functionality. Like
Yeah.
there are insults out there from which I believe a body might not be able to fully recover.
Yeah.
And that's just life. That's a part
Yeah.
of life. You can't regrow a limb. Right? You cut your arm off, you're not going to regrow it. There's nothing we know of that will allow that. So the body can heal itself, yes, maybe to a point. Like maybe there's nuance there too, and you've got to be smarter.
Smarter and hold up your end of the bargain.
Yeah, hold up your end of the bargain. You can't go racing around, drifting around every corner in this car
Right.
at 80 miles an hour and think you're not going to hit a tree. Like that'll catch up with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's right living. There's such a thing as like reckless living, and
Yes.
it's easy to say, well, it's just sports, but it's there's something reckless about it that I need to
Yeah.
own up to. Yeah.
Look at you, Michael. Growth right before our eyes.
Yeah.
You don't sound pumped about it, hence the anxiety. And yeah, it's not easy. That's a grief.
Well, when you commit to a team, you're
Yeah,
you're a teammate, and so it would be letting some dudes down, but we'll see.
we'll see. All right, more to come, folks. Nothing you heard here should be taken as medical advice, as neither Mike nor I are medical experts. Remember that you are light, you are love, you are your primary healthcare provider. We hope you all have a magical holiday, and we hope that you guys are looking forward to 2026 as much as Mike and I are. Thank you so much for tuning in again and again and again, and we appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next one.